evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. Lawmakers race against time to grant President Marcos emergency powers to reduce the fuel excise tax. But that is still not soon enough as more oil price increases loom next week.
Meantime, the Marcos administration is asking Filipinos not to engage in panic buying as the Middle East conflict threatens to push prices up.
And two senators went head-to-head at the plenary today, accusing one another of nitpicking, even gaslighting.
Hindi po kailangan magkaroon ng panic buying dahil kompleto naman po at ina pa po ang supply, lalo-lalo ng ating fuel at ng ating mga basic commodities.
We just need an idea. So, knowing the full cycle of your inventory or your supply system,
15 to 20 days.
bago maging effective,
Yes.
patay na ang kabayo. Diyos ko.
President Bongbong Marcos's request for emergency powers to address the impact of rising global oil prices is now a step closer to being granted. The House Committee on Ways and Means approved a substitute bill that would give the president such authority. Under the proposed measure, Marcos can only use the emergency powers if the average price of Dubai crude breaches $80 per barrel within 1 month. The emergency powers granted are only good for 6 months, but this duration may be shortened or extended by Congress depending on developments in global oil prices. Also stated in the bill, President Marcos is being granted the power to temporarily suspend or reduce the excise tax on fuel products until December 31, 2028 only.
That still unnumbered House bill will be brought to plenary tomorrow, March 11, where it is expected to pass on third and final reading. Despite the fast tracking of the bill, lawmakers discovered a stumbling block on the proposal to immediately suspend the collection of excise taxes on fuel.
We just need an idea. So, knowing the full cycle of your inventory or your supply system, gaano katagal para maubos yan, essentially? Yung inventory nyo na bayad na. Anong calculation nyo dyan? 2 buwan, 1 buwan?
It will be around 15 days. 15 to 20 days.
Bago maging effective,
Yes.
patay na ang kabayo. Diyos ko.
Today's record price increase on fuel products saw varied reactions from the public. That's from pump prices exceeding regulated levels to stockpiling of basic goods.
And now, Malacanang is appealing for calm as the nation navigates this crisis. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with the report.
Keep calm and carry on. This may well be what the administration is asking Filipinos to do amid the record increase in fuel prices on Tuesday, March 10. In a briefing in New York, where President Bongbong Marcos is currently on a working visit, Palace spokesperson Undersecretary Claire Castro had this to say on reports of fuel prices exceeding set ranges in some fuel stations.
Alam naman po natin na may batas sa mga aksyon ng hoarding, profiteering na inaabuso ang itong klaseng sitwasyon na hindi naman kinakailangan na sila ay magtago o lumaki po ang kanilang kita or tubo dahil hindi pa po ito napapanahon. So, kapag ka po kayo ay nahuli na lumalabag sa batas, nahuli na nag-hoard or umaksyon or gumawa ng isang profiteering, hindi po kayo tatantanan ng ating pamahalaan dahil kayo po mismo ay malidimanda at kakasuhan.
Castro advised the public to immediately report any unusual price increases to the DTI and the Department of Energy. Castro also advised against unnecessary stockpiling or panic buying of supplies as the Middle East crisis continues. Castro maintains that based on information from the Trade Department, prices and supplies of basic goods remain stable.
Mahirap po talagang mag-speculate kung anong dapat gawin ng ating mga kababayan dahil sa nangyayari po ngayon. Pero dahil sa tensyon na nagpapatuloy sa Middle East, kailangan po talagang paghandaan ng mga kababayan natin. Pero hindi po kailangan magkaroon ng panic buying dahil kompleto naman po at ina pa po ang supply, lalo-lalo ng ating fuel at ng ating mga basic commodities.
Malacanang is also assuring that interventions are in place to help the Philippine currency from falling further against the US dollar. On Monday, March 9, the peso slid to a new historic low against the dollar, ending at 59.50. The next day, Tuesday or on the day, massive oil price adjustment took effect. The local unit rebounded a bit, closing at 58.89. Castro said the government has been closely coordinating with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas regarding the peso. Among the solutions seen is a possible increase in interest rates to stabilize the already weak currency.
Kita po natin na ito ay talagang maaari mangyari dahil sa nangyayari po na issue sa Middle East at mukhang ito po talaga ang consequence. At nadinig na rin po natin ang Bangko Sentral patungkol po dito at kung magtutuloy-tuloy po ito ay magkakaroon po talaga ng intervention. At yan naman po ay sasang-ayunan din po ng pamahalaan. Sa ating pagkakaalam ay magkakaroon ng increase sa rate sa interest. Yun po ang ating nalalaman.
Aside from the peso, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index also rebounded from Monday's nearly 5% tumble. March 9 saw the index close at the 6,000 level as investors dumped equities amid higher global oil prices and a new record low for the peso. On March 10th, the index gained 2% to close at 6,126.66. Until the Middle East conflict shows signs of letting up, these numbers will be closely watched, with possibility of them crashing down from oil price shocks. Kapatid Mobile Journal Julie Baiza, we are One News.
Several Metro Manila cities have started implementing 4-day work weeks as part of energy-saving measures amid increasing fuel prices. Let's talk about this and more with Metro Manila Council President and San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora. Good evening, Mayor. Welcome to the Big Story.
Yes, good evening, Ces and Shawn, and thank you so much for having me on your program.
So have all cities implemented a 4-day work week in Metro Manila at least?
I have to check the data as of this evening, but as of earlier today, most have already declared that they will be starting 4-day work weeks this week. In fact, yesterday we signed our administrative order for San Juan declaring the 4-day work week. In fact, Friday will be work from home except for the essential departments which we have enumerated. So I believe this is the same thing that the other cities will be doing. Quezon City told me that their work from home will be on Monday, so not all are using Friday as the work from home schedule.
Perhaps that's a good idea so that traffic also will be alleviated on other days, not just on Friday.
Actually, yes, I communicated with my fellow mayors this morning because it was suggested to me earlier today as well. That's why when I found out that Quezon City would implement their work from home during Mondays, I said that's perfect because Quezon City is very, very big compared to all other cities. So that somehow spreads the number of vehicles on the road during Mondays and Fridays.
So far, how's the reception been from our government workers?
Well, actually, this is something that we also did during the pandemic, work from home. And we were implementing this for quite some time during COVID-19. And the local government of San Juan, our employees are very supportive. It is the directive of the President through Memorandum Circular 114, signed by Executive Secretary Ralph Recto. So the objective is clear, to be able to conserve on energy and fuel. And of course, with the fuel prices increasing already, the ability of our current budget to purchase fuel will be lessened because it is now more expensive. So we have to rationalize also the use of our vehicles. Also, if City Hall will not open fully on Fridays, that means a huge amount of savings will be achieved across the week to come. So this is something that we all fully support.
Okay, Mayor, I wonder if the Metro Manila Council has already met on the tail of the conflict arising in the Middle East. And if so, are you guys talking about maybe rolling out a cohesive sort of plan para pantay-pantay, or is it best left up to individual LGUs to handle these issues?
Actually, tomorrow, we will be meeting with the Executive Secretary Ralph Recto in the morning in Malacanang. So I already informed the Metro Manila mayors of our meeting with DS Recto, and we'll be listening to him regarding the interventions that the national government will be doing. So we will wait for a meeting tomorrow, and I can share with you whatever will be discussed.
Okay. I was also wondering, Mayor, a 4-day work week aside, I know you don't set national policy, but in terms of your own LGUs, what is within the power of a mayor? What can you do to be able to alleviate or mitigate all these upcoming price hikes and all the possible hardships that your constituents might face?
Well, one, of course, we have to make sure that prices remain within range. We have our local price coordinating council, which ensures that the establishments in San Juan and, of course, in other cities within the jurisdiction of the other NCR LGUs, and, of course, nationwide as well, the local price coordinating council can really ensure that prices are within range. Of course, the DTI is there to help us monitor. So we can apprehend violators immediately if they are increasing prices. And specifically when it comes to, of course, the fuel increases, prices of fuel, they have to be all within range. So that is within the power of the LGU. Of course, if needed, we can also support our constituents by way of financial assistance, just in case the effects would really spread down to the communities. That's also an option. And Memorandum Circular 114, issued by Executive Secretary Recto, defines also the ways that LGUs can conserve. So this is something that we are already implementing effective yesterday, and I'm sure that all other LGUs will follow suit.
Are you monitoring any price hikes on consumer products this early? Because they shouldn't be actually increasing prices because of these are stocks purchased even before the crisis.
I've already instructed my BPLO head, our Business Permit and Licensing Office head, and our market master to ensure that our people go around our various establishments and, of course, our public market to make sure that indeed no increases are happening.
Mm-hmm. On the upcoming fuel subsidy that will be given out, the one problem that arose from that during the pandemic is really the logistical distribution of these cards. How can LGUs help in coming out with a master list that would really be that would identify the real beneficiaries of these aid?
Yes, we have not received any memo yet or circular regarding the fuel subsidy. But again, if the question is how do we ensure that this subsidy or any help will be used by those who really need it. One, we have, of course, data in our city, which pertains to the lower income families, those part of the informal settler families. They are those most vulnerable when it comes to crises like this. So we have data already, our 4Ps, of course, and our CSWD, our City Social Welfare and Development Department, has data. So just in case there will be ayuda or financial support from the national government, we already know whom our families will need it more.
Last night, Mayor Zamora, we were talking to Marval Buena of Manibela, and he said they have heard nothing yet from the LTFRB, from the national government, about any subsidies that might be upcoming. I was just wondering if in City Hall, maybe some local drivers have already approached you or your office and maybe shared some of the issues or some concerns they might have.
That will be one in Malacanang. In fact, the communication came out this morning, and I was tasked to relate to our fellow Metro Manila mayors. So again, I'm optimistic that all of these will be discussed tomorrow, as I'm sure our transport will be affected of the increased fuel prices.
Any ideas emanating from your office, Mayor, that probably has not been brought up or thought of by other LGUs or even the national government?
Well, we really just have to monitor the situation. The price increase took effect today, and it will be in a staggered basis. So as the days and weeks go by, we really just have to monitor on the ground and see how we could help our constituents, how we can mitigate the effects of all of this. We also really pray that the crisis will end soon. But again, with the way it's going, I think it's getting worse. So hopefully things will normalize very soon.
Mayor, since the government has implemented this 4-day work week, how can the private sector, or should the private sector be persuaded to do the same?
Actually, that is something that we will also discuss. The private sector, for instance, just like in cancellation of work, we can only cancel work in government offices, and when it comes to the cancellation of work in the private sector, we really leave it to the discretion of the heads of the offices in the companies. So we will discuss tomorrow also what are the parameters and basically the scope of the LGUs when it comes to implementing an adjustment in the work schedule of the private sector. So this is something that we will also have to discuss.
So everything is hinged on tomorrow's meeting. Anong oras po ba ito, Mayor?
10 o'clock. Our meeting in Malacanang will be at 10 o'clock. So we will also ask the Executive Secretary what the interventions of the national government will be to soften the impact of all of this. Okay, and
have all the Metro Manila mayors confirmed that they will attend the meeting, Mayor?
Everyone will be attending, and just in case some will not be able to go, they will be sending their representatives. But so far, I have seen the attendance, and everyone is attending.
All right, we thank you very much for your time and looking forward to hear the results of this emergency meeting that you're having tomorrow. That was Metro Manila Council President and San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora.
And we are pausing for a very quick break, but right after that, Meralco announces a power hike for its customers on the day that massive fuel hikes took effect. The big story will be right back. Keep it here.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. The conflict in the Middle East continues to rattle global energy markets, raising new concerns about possible oil supply disruptions. Here's the report.
Saudi oil giant Aramco has begun cutting output at two of its oil fields, according to two sources. This comes after the vital Strait of Hormuz was choked by the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran and subsequent attacks on the waterway. It was not immediately clear at which fields and by how much production was being curtailed. Several of Saudi Arabia's neighbors, which have also been subject to attacks, have also cut production. Analysts warn that the conflict could usher in a prolonged period of geopolitical instability that may keep global oil and gas markets on edge for years. Global oil prices surged as much as 29% on Monday, with prices nearing $120 per barrel at one point. But the market later calmed, with oil settling at around $92 per barrel after U.S. President Donald Trump said the war was pretty much over and could wrap up within a 4 to 5 week time frame. The announcement also helped lift U.S. stock markets. Amid the escalating crisis, Trump also said he held a very good call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, where they discussed both the Middle East conflict. Moscow has called for an end to hostilities, urging all sides to resolve the crisis through diplomacy.
We obviously talked then about the Middle East, and he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive.
This comes as violence continues in Iran after U.S. and Israeli strikes targeted fuel depots and other facilities in Tehran, triggering massive fires and explosions. Iran has since launched retaliatory missile and drone attacks toward Israel and neighboring countries, including Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. The conflict has already left more than 1,300 people dead across the region.
Meantime, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, has some concerns over the proposed 4-day work week. We discuss this with Sergio Ortiz Luis, ECOP President. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Jay. Good evening, Shawn. And good evening to those who are watching us.
What are the concerns, sir, about the 4-day work week?
Well, we are prepared to cooperate, but what we're just saying, it cannot be compulsory for everyone because no formula fits all. No, it can work with some companies, like BPOs, for instance, if they're not face-to-face, some backroom work. But obviously, you cannot do that to a lot of industries, like the health industry. You cannot close the hospital and open only 4 days a week. The manufacturing, for instance, they cannot stop manufacturing and stay on construction. Even the schools, you cannot take away that many from their media. You yourself, you cannot be 4 days a week only.
Well, understood. But certainly, some sectors can definitely implement a 4-day work week.
Like what happened during the pandemic. There were some who went into it. Some were happy on the result. Some, of course, got burned and said that they're not going to do it again.
Right. So there's two ways of doing it, as I understand. One way to implement the 4-day work week is 4 longer days a week. The other one is 4 days, they go to work, normal hours, and then on the 5th day, it's work from home. So under your setup and based on the employers that maybe you have talked to, which is more amenable?
Well, work from home 1 day can work with some, again, BPOs, but it cannot work for manufacturing. It cannot work for construction. And so it's only basically for office workers, backroom workers. So that's not many. And shortening and work from home like that also can mean many no work, no pay employees, and there are quite a lot. Will have no income. On the lengthening the work on making it work 10 hours a day, that's fine for some companies. But definitely, the reason why internationally 8 hours is standard is because 8 hours is found out to be the most productive period for workers and employees. And more than that, also can be some hazardous for some health problems. So you come up with some expenses on that. And there are some legal aspects which has to be resolved, but can be solved, like what we did during the pandemic. For instance, uh, micro small industries cannot afford to have overtime pays. So obviously, many of them are marginal operators, so they cannot pay overtime. So that's got to be settled, no? And the other thing is preparation of some aspects in the office space and some security purpose has to be addressed. So there's pros and cons. It can work for some, but I don't think it can work for many.
All right.
Especially
Fair enough.
the one that will be hit most will be. Do you realize that 90% of our workers are enterprises are 90%? We say that MSME is 99.5%. That's true. But do you realize that 90% of that are micro? Only 8% is small, only 1% is medium, and less than 1% is large. So obviously, the big ones, the likes of San Miguel, the likes of SM, they can afford to have it, but there are only a few of them, and the mostly the small ones cannot easily adjust.
But will members of the ECOP be meeting and presenting to government who among the members are amenable to a 4-day work week, a hybrid structure, so that, we are aware also, the public and the government is aware of what certain sectors are willing to do?
We are continuously in consultation. Even in the labor sector, we have a group, the Leaders Forum, where we meet regularly, and we exchange our ideas in this. And I was surprised that many of the labor groups do not want to do it also, because I think the reason is they feel a lot of their members will lose income.
Well, that's where your role comes in, to assure that, they won't get shortchanged here.
Yes, that's true. But we cannot answer for the no work, no pay. Because certainly, especially the small companies, they cannot adjust to that. Basically, everyone is looking at the problem is simply the fuel price. So we feel that we will cooperate, and if it's done on a voluntary basis, we will really encourage those who can do it to be able to join. But at the end of the day, it's really a government's problem. And I think the president is right in asking for a reprieve from the
Well,
tax, the excise tax, which he might be getting, and that should. The other thing that we and I think most of the laborers also are agreeable, is that instead of there are proposals, for instance, to decrease the value-added tax for everyone by 2%, but rather than that, because that will target only those who are big users, big companies, big rich people, we'd rather that whatever money they're willing to give away, and they say this is in a way going to return what were stolen that is being recovered, then apply it then to part of the pupils. Then everybody profits from it also. And it blunts
I
the
wish it was
possible.
that easy, sir, to do that. I think that's what everyone is thinking, right? Like, why can't they just abolish the excise tax and the VAT? Because, where do the taxes go anyway? But like you said, 90% of MSMEs are micro. And it makes me worry, and I might be sounding a little fatalistic here, but if this conflict is protracted,
yes.
I mean, can businesses actually survive? And how can we find that sweet spot?
I think right now, we're not feeling the pain so much yet. But when the prices really get exorbitant, then all of us will be, trying to find ways. It's good that it's better to be prepared now
Right.
and to anticipate what may be a prolonged situation. Don't you
But you
think the
know,
private sector is too, I don't know, relaxed leaving,
Optimistic?
leaving everything to government to solve this problem? I
no, no,
think
no.
we're all in this
The private
together.
sector are losing sleep,
I'm
worrying what will
sure.
happen to them. But just to give you some background, we have had crisis in 1978, no? And that was the time that
There
the
was
price went for five,
rationing of gasoline.
rationing, no? But we are better situated now than that time for several reasons. Our GDP was at that time provided for by uh, by manufacturing in agriculture who uses a lot of product. Now our GDP is provided in a big way by services, BPOs, tourism, and like so. So we are not exactly dependent on. On the other hand, most of our neighbors uh, are subsidizing their fuel and oil, no? And many of them produces their own. We only partly produce, what happens is while they're subsidizing, we're taxing, and that's the irony of it. So that's why you cannot blame people to say, well, this is beyond us. We are willing to operate. We're going to go all the way so we can survive. But at the end
Also,
of the day, it's
also,
the beyond their control, the prices.
right, but also those who will benefit from the removal of the excise tax are industries and just as a segment of society actually.
Yeah, and to add to
Not
what
really.
Seth said, that's why most economists favor targeted subsidies. What are your thoughts?
Targeted subsidies like what they were intending on the 2% lessening of the VAT will profit the richer. But if you apply it to electricity, if you apply it to power, no, it goes to who? The driver, the users. It goes to the 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 rich one and the poor one, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to avoid is spiraling prices, inflation, which can happen. If and our economy can really go to a negative one, no? So that is what we're trying to avoid. And the only way you can do that is by blunting the effect on the price of fuel and electricity. Because if that is the one that happen that is stopped, which is beyond control of the big sector and many of our people, then we will spiral down.
I wish we could also consider, because, well, my concern about the removal of the excise tax, it may give us a false sense of security. Consumption will be the same. We should also talk about conserving the use of
I agree,
energy.
fully agree. The problem is, even if you remove the excise tax, if the prices goes beyond $120 per barrel, I don't think anybody will. It can cover everything, every increases, and a prolonged one, especially if it's a good thing now that we are not complete, as I said earlier, we're completely dependent on because then some industries will also prosper, like the alternate power industry, solar, windmills, and And so those are some of the industries that can prosper. But there are definitely losers. Everybody will be losing.
Do you also support, very quickly, last question, Sergio, to establish a strategic petroleum fund for the Philippines just for emergencies like this? Because that would also be, of course, funded by taxpayer money.
Yes, if we can afford it, why not? I just don't know the numbers.
All right, we thank you for your time. Sergio Ortiz Luis, as always, President of ECOP. Now let's take a look at the other stories making headlines this Tuesday. Meralco consumers can expect higher power bills this month. That's after the power distributor announced a 64 centavo per kilowatt hour increase for the March billing period for households consuming 200 kilowatt hours. That means about 129 pesos more in their monthly bill. Meralco says the hike was mainly driven by higher transmission charges following a sharp rise in ancillary service costs.
And in other news, Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno has denied reports of any meeting between the National Unity Party or NUP and House leaders over the possible impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. Puno said the NUP has not held nor plans to hold talks with Speaker Bogie D or Majority Leader Sandro Marcos on the issue. He added that any position the party may take will only come after internal discussions and a review of the evidence. Meantime, the Marcos administration is not changing its tune about the International Criminal Court or ICC. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Philippines is not rejoining the ICC. It was on March 11, 2025 when the state helped turn over former President Rodrigo Duterte to The Hague. The Philippines withdrew from the ICC back in 2019 when the court started its probe into the Duterte drug war.
Hindi nagbabago yung stance ng Pangulo. Hindi pa rin po tayo ngayon magre-rejoin sa ICC.
Bakit daw po? Ano sabi ni Presidente?
Yan lang ang binitawan sa akin na salita ng Pangulo.
This is a big story on One News, and coming up is a back and forth that ends in a square-off at plenary. Senators Ping Lacson and Rodante Marcoleta trade barbs over several issues, including China and the flood control scandal. Details ahead. Stay tuned. The big story is back with Senators Ping Lacson and Rodante Marcoleta trading barbs at plenary this afternoon. The issues from the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte to the West Philippine Sea. More from mobile journalist Merimon Reyes.
Dahil gusto din lamang ni Senator Marcoleta na lagi siyang bida bilang dating chairman ng BRC o sa usaping West Philippine Sea o anumang issue involving China o dili kaya ay sa usaping restitution na mag-asawang Diskaya, siya na nga ang tunay na bida sa aking magiging pahayag sa mga sandaling ito ngayong hapon.
These words from Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson couldn't be any clearer. Senator Rodante Marcoleta is rubbing him the wrong way and for several reasons, according to the seasoned lawmaker.
Enough is enough. Patuloy po kayo sa pag-atake sa akin. I refuse to apologize and feed on Senator Marcoleta's ego and pride.
What could have triggered Marcoleta to supposedly target him? Recall that before Lacson became chairman of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, it was Marcoleta that called the shots in the powerful panel. Senator Ping believes the ill feelings could have started when he questioned his colleagues' allegedly half-baked interpretation and request to junk the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Ewan ko, Mr. President, simula nang nasopla ko si Senator Marcoleta sa floor, ay tila nagtanim na siya ng poot sa kanyang dibdib.
Then, there could be Lacson's revelation of the supposed syndicates behind the flood control scandal last year. The Senate President Pro Tempore had since accused Marcoleta of lawyering for king and queen of contractors Curly and Sara Diskaya.
He exposed his ignorance as a member of the bar, particularly on the revised rules on criminal procedure, even as he invoked the issue of impartiality at the top of his voice and out of order and decorum, continuously interrupting the chairman and everybody else, while shamelessly appearing to act as counsel for the Diskaya couple, without even disclosing before the committee members that one of his family members was an independent director of insurance companies that provided bonds for contractors owned by the 207 billion peso flood control contractors, Curly and Sara Diskaya.
Lacson also blasted Marcoleta for coming up with a so-called minority report when the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee is yet to release official findings from the flood control scandal probe.
Siya na nga itong gawa ng mga bagay na wala naman sa alituntunin ng Senado. Pagkatapos, ako ang pagbibintangan niya na epal, wala sa lugar, wala sa hulog. Saganang akin lang din naman, kagulat-gulat po ba ang naging reaksyon ng representasyon na ito na walang lugar ang ulat na yan kundi sa basurahan.
Then, it's Marcoleta's turn to hit back.
Ayoko po yung nagtataka Ginoong Pangulo. Pagka po pala si Senator Ping Lacson ang magdi-deliver ng privilege speech, wala pa po tayong nate-take up na kahit ano. Siya pala ay masyadong special dito sa chamber natin. Kasi po, pagka kami, lalong-lalo na ako, minsan patatapusin na lahat muna. Aabot po ng halos alas 7 hanggang alas 8 ng gabi. Kaya kung minsan po, pag ako nagdi-deliver ng speech, wala na si Senator Lacson. Ganun po pala siya ka-importante.
At this point, other senators chimed in.
Nangyari po kasi kahapon, just sa speech ni Senator Marcoleta, with due respect to the two sides, binanggit po niya yung pangalan ni Senator Lacson. So it is obvious that Senator Lacson would like to respond. So usually when it is personal and collective privilege, especially when they're trying to defend themselves, kasi gusto mong i-defend sana ng sarili mo, binibigyan po natin ng pagkakataon. Ang senador na tumayo at any given point in time. Kaya kung sinabi din po sa akin ni Senator Marcoleta kahapon na ito po ay personal and collective dahil galit ako kay Senator Lacson, ginawa kong agad-agad. Pero hindi po niya kwento sa akin ano yung purpose ng kanyang speech. Kaya nung linapitan niya po ako for speech, binabigyan po natin.
Hindi ko po alam, Sir President, Your Honor, kung paano ko, sana ko mag-uumpisa sapagkat hindi ako ang subject matter ng aking dineliver na privilege speech kahapon. Kaya kung sagutin at iisa-isahin sa inyo, ngunit ang nangyari, parang ad hominem ang nangyari. Sa akin po, natutukoy lahat ang inyong privilege speech ngayon, samantalang ang inaasahan ko ay sasagutin nyo yung privilege speech kahapon.
Negative po. Siguradong hindi po yun.
Bakit
kayo po naglilihis, sino ba po nagsimula nito? Nung una pong privilege speech ninyo, hindi ko na sinagot kasi ayoko magkagulo. Pero enough is enough. Kahapon, nanonood ako sa aking opisina, gusto kong bumaba, kaya lang malalim na ang gabi at ayoko maabala yung trabaho sa Senado. Kaya nagsabi ako sa ating Senate President, at ito'y na-manifest niya kahapon, narinig ko, na I was told na sasagot ako ngayong araw na ito. Wala pong gustong maglihis sa usaping flood control. Ako nga po, very passionate po ako dyan, mulat sa pool. Wala po kayo rito. Ako po'y talagang lumalaban sa korupsyon.
At some point, Marcoleta also questioned why he is being tagged as pro-China. He later challenged Lacson to attend a supposed Foreign Affairs Committee hearing this week.
Sa March 12 po, Mr. President, Senator Lacson, sana po may panahon kayo sapagkat ipinatawag ko sa magitan ng isang resolution at ito po ay alam na ni Senator Erwin. Pinatawag ko po ang NAMRIA, pinatawag ko po ang Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Navy, ang DFA, pinatawag ko rin po si Justice Carpio at saka yung professor sa UP. At kung sino man po ang interesado, once and for all, malaman po natin dito kung sino ang sinungaling, kung sino ang makatsina, kung sino ang naggagaling-galingan at nagpapanggap na expert in international law.
Mr. President, may we hear from the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee because his name was mentioned. May I just confirm if indeed he will call for a hearing and invite those people mentioned?
This morning, I have received a letter from the Department of Foreign Affairs citing that they cannot attend, including NAMRIA, Mr. Chair, and we have already written to the various chiefs of staff of the members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs. They cited, including NAMRIA, that they cannot attend because of the fact that it is a matter of national security, Mr. President. And I also have a copy that will be sent to your office, Mr. President. The reason given by NAMRIA, the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The gentleman from Pampanga and Tarlac is confirming something that is not confirmed.
When Marcoleta insisted that there's already a date for the hearing, Lacson was adamant.
This is something between the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and the gentleman from Tarlac and Pampanga, Mr. President.
Hindi po, tinatanong ko po kayo.
No,
kasi,
I don't know Administrative Order number 29.
Hindi po ninyo alam, sasabihin ko sa inyo.
I don't need to know, Mr. President. I'm not interested. Hindi po ako interesado sa sinasabi ninyo.
In the end, Lacson's privileged speech, Marcoleta's reply, and all other responses that came out of the two senators square off at the plenary were all referred to the Upper Chamber's Rules Committee. Kapatid Mobile journalist Mary Monreyes, we are One News.
Meantime, President Bongbong Marcos is still on a working visit to New York for high-level United Nations engagements. He wants to secure for the Philippines a non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council for the 2027 to 2028 term. Marcos is also campaigning for more investments and for a peaceful resolution to the Middle East conflict. Addressing the UN General Assembly for the first time, the president highlighted the country's commitment to advancing the rights of women and girls, especially when it comes to learning opportunities.
Education must remain at the center of all our efforts. When a girl is educated, the benefits extend far beyond the individual. They strengthen families, uplift communities, and expand the possibilities of entire nations.
First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos was also in the audience during that speech. The president pointed to her when he referred to women empowerment as a cornerstone for nation building.
The Philippines stands ready to work with all nations to advance this cause. Because when women rise, societies rise with them. When women lead, nations move forward. And when every girl, no matter where she is born, can stand with confidence and say that her future is truly her own. And then we will know that we have built not only a more equal world, but a better one for all of humanity. Thank you and mabuhay.
While in the United States, President Marcos also learned about the viral video of Anthony Alermo, an employee of the Department of Migrant Workers in Bahrain. Alermo earlier turned away OFWs asking for assistance. The president ordered the recall of Alermo while the incident is being investigated.
Ang taong walang puso sa pagsisilbi ay walang puwang sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Uulitin po natin, ang utos ng Pangulo ay asikasuhin ang lahat ng ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na yung mga naiipit sa Middle East. Kung hindi po nyo nais na magsilbi sa ating mga kababayan ng buong puso, kayo na po ang voluntaryong bumitaw sa inyong posisyon.
And back here at home, obesity is becoming a major public health and economic concern in the Philippines. Experts warn that nearly 4 in 10 adults are now overweight or obese. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho with the report.
Obesity is emerging as a growing public health concern in the Philippines, with experts warning that its impact now goes beyond personal health and is also affecting the country's health system and economy. This was highlighted during the presentation of the Epidemiological Burden and Cost of Obesity in the Philippines, or the EPICOB-PH study.
Obesity is no longer simply a matter of individual life choices. It has become one of the defining public health challenges of our time.
For Asian populations, a BMI of 25 or higher is already considered obesity, since health risks can start at lower levels. Experts say obesity is closely linked to several non-communicable diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, and chronic kidney disease. Researchers add that the number of Filipinos who are overweight or obese has been steadily increasing in the recent years.
In recent years, the Philippines has experienced a consistent increase in overweight and obesity rates. According to the latest national nutrition data, approximately 4 in 10 Filipino adults currently face these challenges. These statistics represent real lives, individuals developing diabetes earlier than anticipated.
First District of Iloilo Representative Janet Garin, also present at the presentation, says the findings should serve as a wake-up call.
I would admit that obesity and overweight is a problem in our country, but having it at 41%, proven by this study, is a wake-up call, is a sound of alarm, is a red flag for our country. Having provided the proper information, the proper opportunities, and the proper treatment, because obesity is not merely somebody's fault.
Experts say factors such as access to healthy food, safe spaces for physical activity, and health education all play a role in preventing obesity. This study also looks at the economic burden of the condition, including healthcare costs and its long-term impact on families and the health system. Researchers hope the findings will help guide future policies and programs aimed at preventing obesity and reducing its growing impact on Filipinos. Kapatid Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
Of course, we'd like to end on a positive note. Our big picture tonight, these good dogs, after years on the front line, 26 dogs from the EOD K9 are retiring. These are loyal servers from the PNP's Explosive Ordnance Disposal and K9 unit. And they are now up for adoption. Shawn, you might want. Look, the police force is now looking for qualified humans, emphasis on the qualified, to give these retired service dogs a new home. You may contact Police Master Sergeant Manny Molina for details on the screening and adoption process. And we are now showing you his number.
Yes.
There you go.
0946-405.
There you go.
409-0044. I wish I had room for more dogs.
Your house will be safe from bombs.
Actually,
that's at least you.
I know, maybe they can find another job as like a, like a more chill bomb job. Like in a maybe in a condo.
Retired na nga, pagtatrabahuhin mo pa, ikaw talaga.
In exchange for never-ending massages and treats. All right. Hoping those dogs find a new home.
I'm sure he will be deluged. There will be a deluge of people.
And there's also Hound Haven. You can check them out online. They're shelter for these retired dogs.
Yeah.
But that's it for the big story on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.